Hey guys, LuckyHD here, and to start out, this will probably be the first and last video I make on Palworld. I honestly don't really care much to play the game, considering that on this channel, you know, I cover Roblox creature capturing games and all that stuff. However, with Palworld recently having the third all-time highest peak in Steam history recently, I definitely think it is something to talk about, as I myself am a creature capturing YouTuber at heart, as well as a modeler of creature capturing games in general. So without further ado, let's get into this video and cover some of Palworld's very sketchy practices. Now, what is Palworld? Well, Palworld is an all-new creature capturing and collecting game available on Steam, where you have your character setting out on an adventure to collect what is called pals inside of the world, all the while challenging towers and boss pals, as well as having some elements from games like Ark Survival Evolved, Minecraft, you know, and of course, Pokemon. The inspirations are clear. In an article with the CEO of Pocket Pair, they actually mentioned how he didn't really care about being original when creating games like Palworld, instead opting to essentially just create them for money. Doing stuff for money isn't necessarily the problem. I mean, that is practically what every CEO of every company does, ever. With something like this, however, in a game like Palworld, it is expected to have some shred of originality, as Palworld is in itself its own IP. Palworld released to an immediate success, with hundreds of thousands of players immediately joining it on Steam, causing a ton of crashes and bugs because the developers did not anticipate how big the game would actually get. And within the first few hours of the game's release, the entire PAL deck had been revealed. The PAL deck is essentially what the Pokédex is to Pokemon. All of the PALs were revealed in the game, and people quickly started to notice that some of the designs were off. A lot of the PALs upon release looked like a lot of pre-existing Pokemon, and it wasn't a feeling of, you know, they copied it one for one. It was more a feeling of reused assets and reused features from Pokemon slapped onto a new PAL, which called in the question of, were these designs created by AI? Immediately people took to Twitter asking this question, again drawing some similarities between pre-existing Pokemon designs and current PALs. However, there has been no since evidence that has proven that Pocket Pair or Palworld has used AI to create any of their designs. Although the CEO is very supportive of AI and says that the future of gaming and things in general is going to be built around it, there is no concrete proof yet that Palworld has used AI. The only thing that we really can find out about Pocket Pair and AI is one of their games titled AI Imposter, which was basically a game where you tell between what is AI art and what is real art. But again, besides from that, there is really nothing to go off of here. Whether you believe that these designs were created by AI or not is up to you. However, the next thing that I want to talk about is the thing that I think is going to get them into some serious legal trouble. Upon ripping the model files from Palworld and the model files from Pokemon, comparing them side by side, you will start to notice that the topology for a lot of their models is the exact same as certain Pokemon assets. To start out, we have the PAL named Azarobe. This is what it looks like right here, and you might start to see some similarities with the Pokemon Superior. Now, you know, you might just chop it up to, hey, well, okay, they just look the, you know, exact same, alright? There's nothing past that. Well, the user Biofrog posted to Twitter the wireframe view of Azarobe as well as the vertice view of Superior. Now, as you can start to see, there's a lot of concentration near the ends of the tail, but again, that could just be chopped up to them, you know, wanting to make it more fluid with their animations, even though they went on record and said that they didn't even know what a rig was. We'll skip past that for a second. Even down to things like the mouth position being literally just Superior's mouth but opened, which is very easy to do if you have the model file for Superior. But in my personal opinion, what I think is the most damning evidence is probably the fact that they took part of Primarina's hair and just stitched it on to this Superior model. On the left is Azarobe's hair model, and on the right is Primarina's hair model. As you'll start to notice, there is some very specific things put in very specific places on each model. On Primarina's hair, you have the two little tufts of hair that come out on the middle section, and then on the top section you have two more that jut out from the top. If you look on Azarobe's model, they are in the exact same positions. Azarobe also has this weird concentration on each level of its hair. As you'll start to notice on these points right here, it is kind of constricted, where on Primarina's model, the reason for the constriction in is the fact that Primarina has pearls that actually tighten the hair to make it into some sort of like hair tie. Going towards the top of the hair, you will start to notice on Primarina there is a little three-pronged, almost fork shape that ends off the top of the hair. If you look onto Azrobe, the exact same thing is present, just in a slightly altered shape. Now, I myself, again, like I previously mentioned in the video, have experience modeling creatures for creature capturing games, and what I really think just happened is that they took some parts of different Pokemon models and they kind of just meshed them together. I think what happened is they just took these assets from stuff like Primarina and simply just remeshed it. Both of the models also, I mean, even if you just put them up on screen and compare them side by side, again, there is just a lot of damning similarities between the both of them. However, this is not the only thing that has gone onto Twitter. There have been even more posts highlighting the fact that a lot of the build structures of these models is just the exact same as some pre-existing pals. I'll throw some videos up on screen comparing things like Lycanroc as well as Luxray, even down to some certain things like Salazzle. I will say definitely with stuff like the Lycanroc and the Luxray that the proportions are nearly identical. You can't really get something like this just by happenstance. I think anybody even with a surface level understanding of Blender could just simply remove the texture and do something like this. I mean, even I myself could do something like this. Like, it would not be that hard to take the Luxray Pokemon model and change it into what they have created. A lot of 3D modelers and artists are going out on Twitter and giving their opinions, some saying that this is indisputable evidence that they copied, and others are saying that this simply could just be them tracing it. Now, whether it is completely copied, you know, ripped from the files, or whether they did in fact trace over it, both are still bad. You know, tracing over a model like this is still not something good to do because, again, it shows the extreme lack of creativity that goes into this type of stuff. If it comes out that Palworld, you know, definitively stole models from Pokemon and used them to create their pals, there is definitely a lawsuit on the horizon. If, in fact, they decided to kind of trace over the models, which is still equally as bad, then there is most likely not going to be a lawsuit, but who honestly knows, because it's Nintendo. Nintendo has been known for being very meticulous and very, very stingy when it comes to their copyright laws. In a recent VGC article, a character artist for 3D modeling went on to say that they would stand in court to testify as an expert on this, that Palworld stole the models from Pokemon, even going as far to say, "I've seen 30 artists try to make the same horse using the exact schematics. None were as close to each other as these Palworld models are to the official Pokemon models. None. The silhouettes and proportions are near perfect matches." Once again, there's also just some extremely sketchy things about how they didn't even know what a rig was, which is pretty basic knowledge if you're going to be going into a game like this, upon just a ton of other things that I implore for you to research yourself. But at the end of the day, this is not me defending Pokemon and, you know, throwing my life out on the line for this company. I think personally that Pokemon games have been on a very steady decline as of recent years. And like I said at the start of the video, I think it is great that a game like Palworld, for what it is, I guess, have shown that Pokemon fans want a game like this. They want a really high quality, fun game like Palworld is. I think that Nintendo is going to be getting involved with this soon, and honestly, that is going to get very ugly very quickly if Palworld does not fix some of these models up. I definitely think that they should hire a real modeler and a real animator to make the models and make the rigs for their creatures. If they just do something as simple as that, and they have their own, you know, unique designs and, you know, their own unique models without taking anything from Pokemon, I truthfully think that this game will deserve the spot of even being the #1 most played game of all time on Steam. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Where do you stand on all of this? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will not be Palworld. Peace.